We need to talk about the gender identity clinic, the child gender clinic, the Tavistock Centre. It's in London, quite near where I live, actually, over in North London, near Hampstead. And it's being closed down after 15 years or so. Extraordinary revelations coming out of that place. 15 years of encouraging children to change gender, giving them puberty blockers, drugs that will affect them for the rest of their lives. And this cannot carry on after a case review. The Cass review found that this place was not safe for children. 15 years. The NHS, it has now been ruled this place is not safe for children. What on earth has been going on? Let's talk to journalist and trans woman Debbie Hayton. Hello, Debbie.
Good morning, Kevin.
What do you see what do you sense my exasperation? I just cannot believe this place. You know, for 15 years, they've been talking to kids as young as 4. They've been given teenagers puberty blocking drugs which basically will physically affect them for the rest of their lives. We've had kids who have been persuaded to change gender, to transition, suddenly realizing that they were too young to make that decision, regretting it, trying to change back, transition back. I mean, what has been going on? Has this not been a gargantuan, colossal mistake, this place?
Well, it's shocking, isn't it? And it's shocking that it's gone on so long, and it's shocking that staff have been blowing the whistle during this time. It's not new. What's coming out is just this has been known, and it's been known for some time. The truth is there are children with complex and multiple mental health issues have been labelled as trans and sent to the Tavistock, rather than being treated by professionals closer to where they live who can treat the whole child. And what's encouraging is it's not just that the Tavistock clinic is to be closed, but the NHS is talking about holistic treatment, treating the whole child, not labelling them as transgender.
And, I don't know the details of this sort of thing. You may be able to help us with this, Debbie. They were talking to kids as young as 4, kids who felt they were in the wrong body, and changing the course of those kids' lives. I mean, surely at age 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, if somebody kid says, I think I'm in the wrong body, I think I'm a girl, or I think I'm a boy, you don't start fundamentally changing their lives. I mean, they're 4 years old, for God's sake. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and perhaps the question you should be asking, who has been telling these children that they're in the wrong body? It's not something that children will come out with by themselves. So somebody's been telling them this. And why has somebody been telling them this? One concern which has come out of the Tavistock are parents who are perhaps concerned that their children are exhibiting gender non-conforming behaviour. A boy might be a bit effeminate, or a girl might be a bit butch. It's looking at the psychology of those parents we should be asking, why are those parents so concerned about their children that they're willing to label them as trans or suggest that they're born in the wrong body?
When did, if you don't mind talking about your personal story, when did you realise that something was wrong?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because we just know our own situation. I knew I had issues with who I was in this regard back to when I was 3 or 4, but it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I transitioned. Mm-hmm. And crucially, for me, it was the availability of treatment that made that treatment compelling for me. It compelled me to do this. What I worry about is to make that treatment available to children, it puts that same compulsion in these young children. That's what's wrong, and that's what really concerns me.
Clearly some of these kids, the 5-year-olds and the 4-year-olds who have been taken to the Tavistock clinic by their parents, so they've got some kind of gender dysmorphia going on. But obviously the Tavistock clinic took this too far, sort of treated them in way too dramatic a way. But we ought to remember that these kids are confused, are mixed up. What should we be doing to help kids like that?
We should be assessing their mental health conditions that they're presenting with. We should be treating the whole child, not just labelling them as trans. To tell a child that they're born in the wrong body is not an explanation for anything. It's explaining a situation away, and it's not one that's helping them at all.
And to go back to what I was saying at the beginning, Debbie, I mean, this is absolutely shocking to me that the Cass report, Hilary Cass, she warned in her report that these drugs, these puberty blocking drugs, prompt the rewiring of neural circuits, so they completely change kids. But I think possibly even more shocking than that was Hilary Cass's review declared that the Tavistock Transgender Clinic was not safe for children. Now, for 15 years that place prospered, and now it has been ruled not safe. We need to have a huge public inquiry about this, don't we?
We do, certainly. And somebody needs to go through step by step, asking what has been going on here. Why has this experimental treatment gone on for so long without proper checks or controls, not even a proper research project alongside it? These children have been let down dreadfully.
And your personal position, do trans campaigners view you as some kind of a traitor?
They see me as an individual, but I'm not. I've never said that I'm campaigning on behalf of anybody or any group. I'm just a trans person. I'm a teacher. I'm a parent, and I've got concerns, and I'm here to articulate those concerns.
And going forward, they're going to close this place. Weirdly, it's still going to be open for a fair few months. So I think they should shut the doors right now, but it's going to carry on for a while. What do we need to do to help kids after the Tavistock Clinic closes? Do we need a particular building for them, like the Tavistock Clinic, or can they be treated at hospitals or with... What do we need to do?
Well, I think the problem has been we've labelled these children as transgender, and then we've provided a completely separate treatment program for them, separate from any other children's mental health service. What we need to accept is that these children are children, and we need to treat them as children. And confusion about gender is should be treated no differently to any other mental health condition that children present with. Local psychiatrists, local mental health services should be able to cope with this.
And these kids were being treated and talked to by grown adults who worked at the Tavistock Centre. Why were the medics, the psychiatrists and all the people who worked there so keen, so anxious to take kids as young as 4 and 5 and say, yes, you're in the wrong body? Why was their impulse to proceed as if you need to start changing these kids that young? Why were they so keen to do that?
Well, there were some adults there, some staff there who had clearly bought into this ideological position that our sex is determined by our psychology, not our biology. But the other interesting thing is the staff turnover there. It's been reported the staff turnover has been enormous. Staff who didn't agree with this left and found other work to do. There's been multiple problems there extending back over several years.
What would you say to a kid, say 12 years old, 13? I don't want to go back as long as 4 because I don't think maybe we should say anything to kids like that. But say a kid of 12, 13, 14 who was having thoughts, am I in the wrong body? I feel I'm a boy, but I feel like I should be a girl. What would your advice be to them?
I'd say grow up. Grow up and find out what it feels like to be an adult. If you wish to transition as an adult, you can transition as an adult. That's not a problem. But grow up first so that at least you know how it feels to grow up to grow up to be an adult member of your own sex.
Yes, because this is a problem, isn't it? We've had these traumatic cases of kids who went to the Tavistock Clinic, transitioned physically, and then when they reached adulthood, if you like, their late teens, early 20s, they realised they've made a sort of profound, life-changing mistake. That's what we have to guard against ever doing again, don't we?
Well, absolutely. Medical transition is a one-way process. You can't go back to how you were. If you've had hormone blocking treatment and not gotten through your natural puberty, that can leave you infertile. The chance to have children has gone before you know before you become an adult. We wouldn't be letting 16-year-old boys have vasectomies because they decide they didn't want children at age 16. We don't do that. But we've allowed this to happen because of an ideological position that these children are somehow, for some reason, the opposite sex to the sex they evidently are.
As we both agree, and I think other people do as well, there will be a public inquiry into the Tavistock clinic. But how do you think history will record that place?
I think we'll look back in years to come and think, what on earth happened here? How did this happen? And for so long, what were those people thinking? And the shocking fact is that people have been blowing the whistle. Susan Evans, a former member of staff, blew a whistle 15 years ago. Stephanie Davis, a High of Transgender Trend, has been campaigning on this for years. People have been pointing this out. The evidence is out there, and we know it.
I mean, you know, not to labour this point, but to my mind, it's just breathtaking what has happened here. You know, just a breathtaking mistake. And I still can't get my head round how it happened, how, you know, so many people allowed the Tavistock clinic to keep changing kids' lives. As you say, backed on ideology. It is extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, it is. People believe this, people convinced other people to believe it. And I think crucially as well, other people who suspected what was going on was dangerous said nothing. There's been a lot of fear around where people who haven't said anything, not because they didn't have a view, but because they were frightened to express that view. That's what we need to get over.
Yes, couldn't agree more. Debbie, great to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time. Debbie Hayton, journalist, trans woman as well.